Okay.
You're live and recording. Okay. So I'm pretty sure I just heard like a boxing ring, like the seconds away. The round's going to start at the start of that. Patrick, do we know how long this will last? Approximately 50 minutes. So another 45 minutes. So we've started now. Hopefully everybody can hear. For all the people that are saying, how do I work out the audio? We hadn't started. We've started now. So I'm Adam Gordon. I am one of the hosts of this show. It's called Talent Pipe. It's all about talent pipelines and related things, how you can create talent pipelines. And some of it's to do with sourcing. Some of it's to do with recruitment marketing. Some of it's to do with technology. But this week, we're going to be talking about employer branding. And I'm delighted to welcome Robin Dagostino from SAP, who I had the privilege of interviewing and writing a blog about. And I've got a massive apology to make to Robin, because when I realized how late I was in actually writing the blog about a week ago, I noticed that it was 6 months ago that I actually did that interview with you. So hopefully everything that I want to talk to you about now is still actually valid. Robin, do you want to just introduce yourself? What does your CV look like? And what do you do at SAP?
Sure. And no problem at all. We understand how busy life can be. No worries whatsoever. So I work in global employer branding for SAP. And what that is our team is responsible for the career site, our Life at SAP social media channels, recruiting campaigns, all around the world, where we hire over 20,000 employees for the last 3 years. And we also support in various ways, whether it's training and development with our recruiters or hiring managers, or just helping to empower our employee base to show what life is like at SAP and why it's such a great place to work.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. So, but what about you? What did you do before SAP?
So before that, I've worked at a company called Comcast. It's a US-based company that owns NBC and Universal Pictures. I've always worked in the marketing communications team. So I helped run their Xfinity brand, as well as parts of NBC and Universal brand packages. So working in employer branding is a newer space to me, but I've been here at SAP for 3 years now, and it's fantastic. And it's just, the fundamentals of marketing are so critical. And instead of marketing a product or a service, we're marketing people. And you have to believe in your product. And what makes SAP so great is I truly believe in the company and what it's to offer. And then prior to Comcast and working in marketing communications and building out helping to build out their digital strategy and launching their social campaigns, I also worked for a consumer packaged good company and a shopping company, QVC, as well as Tasty Baking Company. So I've been around the block, Boyle Valet.
So SAP is probably the least well-known company to the public that you've worked for.
It is, which is pretty interesting because it's a B2B brand, and I've always worked for consumer brands. One question for you, Adam. Do you even know what SAP stands for?
I have been told, but I can't remember. Tell me.
Is this a layup question that you're giving me?
No, please tell me.
So it's basically stands for systems, applications, products. And somebody might say, okay, well, what is that? But what you might not know is that 77% of the world's transactions revenue are touched on an SAP system. So we are a global market leader in enterprise application software and technology. And what makes that so cool to me, selfishly, is that, it's cloud solutions. So it's powered by technologies like cutting edge things of big data, Internet of Things, machine learning. And because of what SAP has done for 400,000 plus customers, anything is possible. And that's really cool. So let me give you an example. So we just actually are doing a story on a Flat Chen. He's an SAP employee that works in China. And he has a childhood friend who is a pulmonologist, right? And he was expressing to his friend, who's the pulmonologist, was expressing the length of time and resources that it is to scan so many x-rays to detect cancer and early detection. Flat Chen came works in our SAP labs in China, brought that information back to his team, formed a team of volunteers, and they said, let's see if we can help. And they, using our technology and software, we now can help this doctor, as this hospital and many other doctors and hospitals around the world, to detect cancer earlier because of using our technology. And that just is like really, really cool to me. And I think that that makes such a difference. And we can give you countless other examples of what SAP does, but I love bringing it home to real life examples and the empowerment that our employees have, as well as our customers using software and technology.
Yeah, okay, so that's an incredible example of SAP people coming together to solve a real world problem and something that's of tangible significance to millions of people potentially.
Yes.
So I'm going to come on to some of that later, because there's a lot of brilliant examples of things that your company is doing, which, working in employer branding, is just dream raw product to work with.
Right.
So tell me about, so SAP was 10 years ago, it was one of 50 kind of international technology companies, and it's had an incredible sort of growth and transformation in the last 10, 15 years. It's sort of risen as being, I don't know, one of the top 5 kind of mega brands within technology. So what do you think has been the main, I know that you haven't been there all that time, but what's your sense of the reason why your company has accelerated while a lot of its peers from 10, 15 years ago haven't?
I think, the one truth that we know with certainty, that the future will be vastly different than it is today. And the thing that I have to say that drives a lot of people at our company is that you have to have curiosity, right? And the core fundamentals of our EVP, our employee value proposition, is innovation. And it's always important. I teach myself, my team, everyone, that's always important to understand where you fit in. And when you don't understand something, here at this company, SAP offers countless resources to help you provide that knowledge and learning. So we have an SAPpedia, online courses, in-person training sessions, mentorships, rotational programs, fellowships, and all other examples showing that the company is truly invested in future, invested in innovation. And that's what sets companies apart. It's not, a lot of companies in this world can be successful, but you have to have innovation, you have to have curiosity, and you have to have the right tools and resources. And so, some people might think, oh, it's SAP, they're a software company, I have to be an engineer or a data scientist or something of that nature. I'm not. And many 96,000 employees that we have don't have those skill sets, but you have to have curiosity, a desire to learn. And we know there's so much statistics out there that, in the future, the average person will live to 100 years old. So you can't have the same job that you've always had. You always have to teach yourself new skills and have that desire and curiosity. And we try to enable that as much as possible and foster that. And I think that that's a nice differentiator at our company. And it, kudos to our leadership team who truly allows that and invests in that. So does that help answer your question? Or that's what I believe in.
I absolutely agree with that. From what I know of your company, and I've read books and I've watched documentaries about your business, and I've watched interviews with senior people in your company, and I'm really fascinated by it. That kind of summarizes what I get from everything I know about SAP. Tell me about the employer branding team. What's your kind of main objectives? Because employer branding means different things in different organizations. So what's your team's kind of output?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're supposed to establish awareness, positive brand sentiment, right? And how you do that, I think that is investing, actively listening, building, and engaging with candidates. And we don't always do it right. I'm going to be honest, but because there's a lot of them and we're very fortunate, but It's about delivering relevant messages at the right time, the right place, to the right target audience. And we're getting better and better. And executing and optimizing recruitment marketing initiatives that deliver on the needs and wants of hiring managers, recruiters, but ultimately candidates. And we try to utilize not just one method, but paid, owned, and earned channels to operate that. So that's what really is the core focus of what we're trying to do. And we have to constantly condition ourselves through listening and engaging to get better and better in that space.
Okay, let's talk about the kind of, first of all, let's talk about the sort of building blocks. What are the core channels and what are the core formats? So for example, we're thinking about career site and things of that significance. What are the main building blocks?
Obviously, the career site is a critical channel to our success. We see social media as a big driver in helping to raise awareness and engagement with our candidates. Email, it is a great direct response tactic. Trying to get out there, just talking to you today, being able the opportunity to share SAP's story is another way to raise awareness and education of what makes our company a great place to work. The thing is there's so many research and studies out there that it's not just one touch point, it's so many different touch points, and how you have to think about the whole entire candidate journey and how you can empower that. And the best way to do that is to let your employees be that voice. And the bigger the company you are, the bigger the opportunity that you have to share a diverse voice from different languages, from different countries, from different perspectives, what makes your company special. And that is so critical and so important to empower your employees, because they're your best advocate. People don't want to hear from a company, they want to hear from employees. So, while we're working on the Flat Chen story of SAP Labs, we want him to share this story, and then we can help amplify that. And that is so much more impactful than if it's the other way around.
How do you attract these internal stories? Because I'll cover some of this later, but a lot of the things you do are about human stories. How do you become aware of people doing amazing things that you can amplify?
Well, we actively listen, and we have a diverse team. Within just our global employer branding team, we have employees from Israel. I live in the US. We have employees in Prague, London, Shanghai, Singapore, all over the world. And they're actively listening. We have close relationships with our employee communications team, our marketing team. And then we have multiple collaboration tools where we're actively asking employees to share their stories. So we have, obviously an intranet and a portal where we have the employee stories, and we're actively looking there. But we also have our Jam page where submit your stories, nominate an employee, submit. And that's how we launched our employee value proposition EVP and recruiting campaign. We asked employees to nominate other employees. And that was so much more impactful and help us spread that, because they're our advocates, they're our ambassadors, and they help, deliver that. And that's how we've been able to uncover so many great stories. I mean, let's face it, when you say Internet of Things or machine learning, it's not tangible. It doesn't have feelings, but a human does. And our people are what makes such a difference. And I know it might sound cliche, but especially it's even more important at SAP to highlight our people and to humanize us, because that is what makes us, authentic. It's real. It's, we're people.
Yeah. Listen, sticking with the theme of the kind of building blocks and the fundamental things that any organization needs to do around employer branding, what have you seen as been the changes in the 3 years that you've been working with SAP? What was not that important 3 years ago that is really important and taking up some of your focus today?
When I first started, Stefan Reese, who's our CHRO, he was sharing that, we're investing and double downing in our learning and development culture. And since those 3 years, I've seen significant impact and significant advancements to our investment in learning and development at SAP, whether it's our products and services and technology, but also the caliber of training that's offered to you, the variety of training, because everybody trains in different ways. Some people are visual learners, some people aren't, is really, really pretty cool. We launched internally an organization called SAP IO. And this is really about innovation and the startup mentality to kind of deliver on that curiosity that I mentioned to you earlier. This is where SAP employees can be their own entrepreneur. You always have had, this desire to launch a product or service, whatever role you are in the company. We can help you. We can give you those soft, we can give you those hard skills. We can show you how to use SAP technology to help you get there. And then outside, if you're not an SAP customer or employee, we can also help startups using the power of HANA and cloud and experience technology that we have to help you get where you want to get. And that's really, really cool, I think. So helping to foster more and more entrepreneur spirit, and then helping to give you that learning culture, it only is getting better and better. I mean, we have a chief learning officer. We've had a chief learning officer for quite some time. We now have, we've had a head of innovation, and we've had that role for quite some time here. And we just announced our new head of innovation as well. So it's about more unity to help focus on efforts. And it's not just, let's just talk to the engineers, but cross-departmental, cross-country, cross roles and skill sets.
Okay, I'm going to come back to that whole theme later on when I ask you about. I'm going to give you a couple of my perspectives on employer branding, and find out your thoughts about that. And we'll come back to that learning and kind of people development thing as well. Nicole has asked a question, which is going back a few minutes. So I'm sorry I didn't get to it at the time, but what do you mean by earned channels?
So there's paid, which, there's the job board spends and stuff like that. Owned is the ones that we own, our Life at SAP Facebook channel or whatnot. And then earned is the one where our employees are our advocates. So that's what you earn because you have the respect from your employees or for our customers that give you the right to talk about what makes the company a great place to work or what those differentiators are.
Okay, so hold on. In the same line, is there a particular budget and ROI that you trace for branding? So
it's a very good question. So what we look at is traffic to our career site. We look at apply starts. We look at apply qualified leads, and that's a very important metric. We looked at apply completes. We look at interviews, because interviews is really important, because the fact that a recruiter or a hiring manager wants to take the time to talk to that candidate, that's an important KPI. Then there's all this other really important metrics that are very hard to measure. And that's where it comes to experience. And you might say, well, employee satisfaction, NPS score, retention, all of those factors come into play when it comes to an employer brand and your perspective. And that's why I was super excited that the company has purchased Qualtrics, which is looking at that type of data. And that data is so important to look at and can't be remiss by any means. And we're really excited to bring that together, that analytical data that I mentioned to you about, like visits and apply starts and apply completes, but then also the satisfaction and the work, that is just so incredible. And I see that getting better and better moving forward.
Okay. You just alerted me to something that I should have known about, which was SAP bought Qualtrics. I didn't know that at all.
No?
No, I just looked on Google there. I missed that. It was in November. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
What
a big deal.
acquisition.
It is. That's a really big deal. I don't know where I was. I didn't see that. Okay, I want to talk about leadership. So your CEO is really famous. Your CEO is famous.
Awesome.
Yeah, he is awesome, and he's famous, and he's awesome, and I'm sure he's Scottish because he's got a Scottish name. But he has assembled. He's also assembled a senior leadership team who are all famous on their own as well, and I think it's more than half of them are female. And as I understand, it's likely that the next CEO of SAP could be one of 4 or 5 different females in the business. So you've got a culture of, I also understand that there is a culture from the top right through the organization, which is anybody can talk to anybody else. If they've got something, important to say or important to ask, they will be able to get time with somebody else. Tell us about your coffee corners, because I think that this is an ongoing initiative, and I think it's something that is worth telling the world about.
So we're, obviously we're almost 100,000 employees. We're in 180, countries. So we're a very large organization. And how can you make it feel more personal? So an important effort by our leadership team is to travel around to our SAP offices and set up coffee corner sessions. And these are where intimate environments where any employee can sign up and hear firsthand. And so usually, it depends on the leadership and what their personal style is. They'll give like 10 or 15 minutes of who they are, what their important goals are, why they like working in SAP. And then it's just open forum. You can ask any question. And, I am actually amazed personally of the questions that are asked, and real, authentic, transparent answers. And it's very cool. And then that leader stays on and is able to, if you want to have one-on-one time with that leader, and be able to have follow-up questions. Almost like, you see a presentation and then you're able to go up to that guest speaker afterwards. It's really great. And then the majority of the leaders that I've had the opportunity to meet, they said, send me an email. Let's follow up on that discussion, or set up another call. And that's what's so great, because there's a true belief that an idea can come from anybody, and that unity is what helps us drive innovation, and empowering our employees. Going back to that is pretty cool. So that's just one example. We also have multiple programs here at SAP. If we see you as moving up and having that potential, we've identified employees that are called catalysts, and these catalyst employees are even given even more access to our leadership team, and having 101 sessions with them, as well as learning and development opportunities, even more that we aren't able to give our almost 100,000 employee base. So it's very cool, some of the opportunities that you're offered here. And I do think that, Bill is an amazing leader, and the fact that he is, so open, so transparent, so approachable is just, it is one of a huge factor that sets us apart here at our company. And we feel very privileged, but we also have, some pretty amazing, you mentioned, we have 2 board members are females, and they're not there to check a box. They're there because they're really good. And they're fantastic leaders, fantastic representations of the company. And I'm proud, to work for them, as well as, our other leaders that are on the board and other roles in the organization. It's really cool. They're all very humble. They have a lot of empathy. It's definitely an impressive caliber of talent that we have at our company.
Okay, so Pramod's asked another question related to that, which I think we should just go on to, which is, can you share a few examples on how you brand diversity inside and outside the organization?
Yeah, so in addition to, gender, which is the female, showing real employees in the leadership roles. So we've done a number of videos, kind of a day in the life. We've done social takeovers. We've done profiles of getting to know them, blogs, podcasts of employees. But we also, not to just, gender isn't the only diversity that we have at SAP. We have made a commitment to have 1% of our employee population on the autism spectrum. And that SAP Autism at Work is a key focus of ours. And we also are looking at other employees, of minorities or differently abled in other ways. And that is just, showing that an idea can come from anybody, from any background, from any culture, from any language, and that's how we can drive innovation. It is so important. So it's a core part. I mean, we're really proud if you go to our career site, if you go to our Life at SAP channels, we don't just have one look and feel. We try our hardest to always have representations from all parts of the world, whether it's a day in the life or a social takeover, as mentioned.
Mm. Okay, I've got a question from Hannah, but I'm going to come on to that in a few minutes because I want to just focus on EVP for a second. You touched on it earlier. What is an EVP? Again, EVP means something slightly different to different organizations. What does it mean to SAP, and what are the main sort of features of the SAP EVP?
So it stands for Employee Value Proposition, which I mentioned, but it captures the essence of the uniqueness of an employer, right? So in our case, SAP, and the give and the get between you and your employees. That's what essentially it is. And I think I've actually found that a lot of people are really confused of what an EVP is and what an employer brand is. So I think it's really important for you to understand the difference. And the employer brand is the perception and the lived experiences of what it's like to work for your organization. So going back to EVP is, our strategic proposition is your success matters, so seize the moment. And so, how we do that, and our messaging framework is a core trends in all of the research that we've done. And we've done multiple workshops internally and externally, as well as surveys and whatnot, is that you have to have respect for others. And that goes to our diversity and inclusion. It's about not just, being invited to a dance. It's about being asked to dance, right? And it's about having that respect for others. And then if you think of a house framework, the top of the house is innovation. And that's where, all of that curiosity is so critical to the success of our company. And then we have three kind of pillars that hold up that building. In the middle of our pillar is purpose. And a core vision and purpose of our company is in helping to improve people's lives and making the world run better. So that example that I gave you earlier about Flat Chen, about making a difference, we have countless stories of how SAP technology is helping lift up societies, help sustainability, make such an impact in the world and a better place. And that's very empowering. And then we have, learning and development. We have career growth and trajectory. So those are kind of the core principles of our employee value proposition and messaging framework. And then we came up with the tagline of bring everything you are. So we don't care what background you came from, but if bring everything that you are, and you can have the potential to become everything you want at SAP. You can work at SAP Global, you can work at SAP, one of our startups, you can travel the world, you can just work in your one location, you can work remotely, you can work in an office, you can work at one of our clients' offices. So you have so much opportunity to become everything you want at our organization. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay.
So going on to before, what I'm going to do in a minute is I'm going to go on to about 6 different specific initiatives, and I'm just going to name the initiative and just give us like 2 or 3 sentences to explain why. Okay. But let's quickly answer Hannah's question first. So What are your top tips for overcoming internal cynicism so as to ensure that a culture stroke brand can be bred authentically from inside out rather than one that's mastered for external use?
I think you're only fooling yourself. I mean, we all know this, that the candidates can read through that, and even other companies, other brands, everybody can read through. If you don't have respect for others at your company, don't say that. You're almost just setting yourself up for failure. And going back to empowering our employees, it starts with storytelling. So if you're telling authentic, real stories, that is who you are. That's who your company is, and that's what's will hopefully kind of give you that authentic nature. I think that sometimes people do a disservice of saying that we tell these amazing stories, which is of our employees. Like, so Flat Chen is an amazing story, but we also have a story about an employee that might have messed up, and that's okay. And the fact that we show at SAP that it's okay to fail. I think that we need to show the all different parts of a human, and that we're all human, to be able to show what a company is like.
Yeah, I agree. The reason I'm smiling, though, is because when I first started working in employer branding in 2002, I spent several years designing some of the most fake employer brands that you could possibly ever come across. I did a lot of work. I did a lot of work. I did a lot of work with outsourced call center organizations, showing with pictures of models and showing how wonderful it is to work there. Anyway, I shouldn't really admit that, but it's the truth.
I was going to say, I wouldn't tell many people that.
That was before employer brands were generally accepted as being authentic.
We fought really hard to not use stock photography and to use real employees. It was something that we just, Matthew Jeffrey, who's my boss, and myself and a colleague, Kirsten, we were in heated battles that it has to be authentic. It just has to be. And I'm glad we stood our ground. And now we see more and more companies do that. And I love seeing that, because you're only doing your disservice. You hire a candidate who thinks they're going to get something, and then they're going to leave. And that causes even more money and pain and anguish. It's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I'm talking about 17 years ago. What I absolutely advocate today is complete transparency. If a candidate is going to be able to find out what type of coffee and what sports team their new boss is interested in when they start, they should know that before they apply. So complete transparency is what I totally advocate. So let's go on to some of the things that I think are really interesting initiatives, and I want to know why you've done it. So SAP sponsors the esports league Team Liquid. Why?
We know that those candidates significantly over-index in the technology space, and they are innovators, and that's the type of talent that we want to attract.
SAP sponsors the world's #2 darts player, Rob Cross, and has done, I believe, since well before he was the world's #2 dart player. Why?
So, to be honest, when I asked that same question when I was first, hey, we're going to sponsor a darts player, and I live in the United States, and I was like, darts isn't big in the U.S. But you know what? I have to say that I think it's a fantastic opportunity. I'm so glad that Matthew brought it into the fold, because we need to do things that not everybody else is doing, and we need to think outside the box. And kudos to Matthew, who led that effort and has been, a key thinker in thinking outside the box. We can't just do the same old. And this person that we sponsor, we actually now sponsor multiple darts players. Rob Cross is just a true representation of having the drive, having the curiosity, having the wherewithal, and to be the world champion. And he's so humble and he's so fantastic to work with. And he has such a great following that those fans never would have even considered SAP or been top of mind when they're thinking of a great place to work. And now that they do, and we've been doing multiple unique Dart events around the world, and they are sold out. I can't tell you how many people are attending them, where we have a moment in time with this fan base that are just having fun and seeing a whole new perspective of our company. It's really cool. So just being able to do things different, I think, to answer your question.
So I doubt you would have sponsored Jockey Wilson. You wouldn't know who he is, but
I don't. I'm like, oh, should I know? Sorry.
Yeah, so he's a Scottish world #1 darts player from the 1980s. And he used to probably get through about 10 to 12 pints of lager and about 20 cigarettes during each game. Like on TV, they would be showing him doing that. But the thing is,
my goodness,
his opponent was doing the same. They were all doing it. Changed sport. Tell us about Talent Win, because Talent Win is something that I just think is brilliant.
Yes, it really is. And kudos to my colleague, Susanna Laband and Yael and her entire team. It's really interesting approach. So these are those passive candidates. And instead of, not to say that we're not at career events and whatnot, but we develop a unique experience to wow candidates that they never would have considered SAP. So let me give you an example. The NFL, we just mentioned darts, but let's give a darts example. So we have these amazing darts fans that are huge. We specifically target them, and we put a lot of data and research into our targeting ahead of time. We target them. We invite them to meet Rob Cross, which is the world dart champion, as well as many other darts players, because we create this unique event. We invite them. They get a behind the scenes, they get access. We then have a panel of SAP executives that are also talking about how they are driving innovation at the company and how they have found success at the company. So you have a moment in time that we never would be able to have access to. And then we get to, have a great darts competition and have some fun. And they're singing songs, that people are dancing. It's just a whole nother experience that you would never be able to have. And it's creating memorable, lasting moments. And then not only do we're targeting these individuals, then we're following up with them and we're having multiple conversations. And we're really proud to say that we've been able to record multiple hires from this effort. And it's not only enhancing our brand, but it's directly doing bottom funnel metrics as well.
Darts is really incredible, because it wasn't that popular until the last 5 to 10 years. And absolutely, if you put it on TV now, there's a whole sea of people in the audience having so much fun. I really want to go.
Oh, well, we're having our next one in June in Palm Garden in Frankfurt. You're welcome to come if you want to.
Well, that would be amazing. I'd love to.
I'm serious. I'll definitely.
Yeah, I know. If my wife is listening to this, there's absolutely no way she'll agree to me going to Frankfurt to go to a darts match. But anyway, there's I know. To be honest, no, I kind of have to. I have to take that up. There was one other that I really loved. Tell us about Katie Tunstall.
So this is going back to trying to attract more females in tech, right? We've created a series called Women Who Rock. And so every single Saturday on our Life at SAP channel, we feature an SAP employee and how they rock it at SAP. And so to continue that momentum, we are having rock concerts with females performances. And again, we're, invite only, select crowd. We do a private concert. We actually have, again, panels of SAP leaders talking about how they are, having success in their role and what they do in answering questions. And then we open it up to the fan base and the larger crowd, the event, and have a music concert. And it's just another way to share our story, just like we do with the Dart sponsorship. And then again, we follow up with those women and men and trying to attract them to come to SAP. But it's really, really fun. And we think about all different facets of that. We've done Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives with KT Tunsil at the concert and after the concert. So it's just drumming up that awareness and excitement of SAP in unique ways. I think that, this company is very open to new things, and you need to be disruptive to get the name out there in unique ways. And you just have to make it a win-win. So KT was coming out with her new music tour. We knew that, and we could help her and she could help us. And it was a great partnership. And she had so much fun with us in Vancouver that she's actually doing another concert with us in Bangalore. So June 7th, we're going to be doing another KT Tunsil. So you can come to that with your wife if you'd like to.
Bangalore's a long way, but yeah, that sounds amazing as well. So this is literally rolling out the red carpet. This is rolling out the red carpet to high value. This is not for the jobs that are reasonably easy to fill. This is for the jobs where people are in really high demand and they are precious, and you have to roll out the red carpet. Would that be fair?
The majority are. Yes, the majority. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So another one is, the thing is, a lot of these initiatives are presumably not employer branding initiatives. They're just things that you've been able to tell the story of so well. So let's talk about Africa Code Week.
So going back to, our vision and purpose to help improve people's lives, CSR, corporate social responsibility, is really a core part. And to look at, how can we help the world run better and improve people's lives. And so one example of that is Africa Code Week. So it's where SAP employees volunteer their time to go to Africa, or we actually have it in all parts of the world. In this case, is Africa Code Week, and we help teach young children how to code and how to, keep teaching them hard and soft skills to hopefully get a job in IT. And they don't have that advantage as kids in other parts of the world do. So we try to make every effort that we can to give equal opportunities to all children all around the world as much as we're able to do. And this isn't just an SAP Africa Code Week. This is many companies come together to do this. SAP was one of the founding companies to do that, but it's in partnership with many organizations, because the more and more we work together, the more impact that we can make to our society. And we truly believe that. So that's why, you've mentioned, Robin, with great interview, but it's a team effort. So not only is it an employer brand team effort, but it's a company effort. And then it's our customers' efforts too, in everything that we do. And that's a really critical thought process that we have. And we know that's how we make success possible.
Tell us about your cartoon, Life at SAP Illustrated. How did that come out? What's the purpose?
So again, it's another way to tell the SAP story in a creative, unique way. You can only have when I first started here, there was and many companies have a ton of stock imagery, but there's so many different circumstances where we wish that we had a video or an image of. So why not create an illustrated cartoon series where we can showcase that and visually showing that by getting an employee or a candidate or a customer to smile. And we've had so much success with our SAP Life Illustrated cartoon series that we do on a regular basis that our sales team is now using the cartoon series. And we're also using it to communicate new initiatives internally as well. So it's come a long way, and we're just so fortunate to have this individual. And this isn't somebody that we went out and paid. We found this employee. His name is Matt Olek, and he's extremely talented at SAP. He was an intern in a totally different department, heard that he does illustrations, reached out to him, said, "Hi, I work in employer branding. We're looking to launch as a team this cartoon series. Would you be interested if I wrote the cartoons and you did the illustrations?" He said, "Sure, I love this. I love doing this. I will volunteer my time." It became so successful that now he's a full-time employee on our team. And in addition to the illustrations, he does a lot of our poster and key art for our KT Tunzel event, for our Dart sponsorships. He does a ton of infographics. He's extremely talented, and we're so lucky to have him as well as our other designers. But that's how things happen. It doesn't have to be that, oh, we have to hire an agency or we have to hire, this brilliant cartoonist. You just kind of have to, look around, and you can find amazing talent everywhere. Because they're all there. People need to be given an opportunity and have the drive and the bandwidth to make it happen.
What was he doing before? What was he doing as an intern within the business?
So he worked in our so we change titles in the company a lot, departments. So bear with me, and I hope I get this right. But he worked in it was called customer success, I believe, but basically it's a department that puts together all of our SAP customer success stories. So, one example might be, let me think of ExxonMobil, right? Yeah. They were a 2018 winner of the SAP Innovation Award for Talent Exchange. And that's basically a suite of applications that facilitates the movement of employees between different assignments. And so Matt would put together the creative elements to help tell that story. So we could share that story, that's the ExxonMobil story, but we could share that story with other potential customers and existing customers, whether it's Shell Oil or some other of saying, hey, this is what you guys could do as well. So that's what the department and team that he worked in. Right. And he was an intern.
Yeah, but he was probably doing something kind of creative within that team. He wasn't working in facilities or anything. Okay.
Yes.
So question from Sherry. What advice do you have? Because, it's interesting. A lot of people say about when you think about, SAP wins all these awards for its employer branding and all that kind of thing. And a lot of people say, well, yeah, but they've got so much money to put towards it. I genuinely believe a lot of the things that you're doing, I believe a lot of the things that you're leveraging are not things that you've actually put any budget into. So Sherry's question is, what advice do you have for employers who have limited resources and budget to commit to similar large-scale initiatives?
So one brilliant initiative that the team, Matthew Jeffrey and the team did before I started was they created this employer brand menu of services. So think of, a Chinese menu of these are all the things that employer branding could do to support you on your goals and objectives, whether it's, putting butts in seats or helping from a brand awareness in a certain market or a certain role or function or department. And it used to be that, hiring managers or recruiters be like, well, we can't do it because this is all we have, capabilities. But we've now thought about, what if we could do anything? What if we, the sky was no limit? So we would put together a full, comprehensive marketing campaigns with A scenario where money was no object, B scenario of middle of the road, and C scenario of limited resources. And we would charge back to that department to say that if you want A scenario, which is money no object, and we can, do this, then you would have to fund that department. And we started to, this menu became so successful that we started to get more and more business with employer branding. And we were able to get more and more resources as a result of that initiative. And no one could actually now go back to and say, well, employer branding wasn't able to help. We can help. We just need your support and funding and resources, and we can help drive because we have subject matter experts. And that's how we've been able to grow so successfully. And now we actually have, 2 full-time employer brand menu managers who intake the information because we get so many requests from different departments within the organization, and we have had such success stories. But I think that it comes down to showing the potential as much as that you're able to, and how you can do that if given the right resources and framework.
So you have a sort of service level whereby if you want this, you'll get that. If you want a Shakira concert, you got to pay for it.
Yep.
Okay.
Essentially.
And you have two employer brand menu managers.
And we never had that before. These are newly created positions because our team has been growing and growing, which is fantastic. So, when I first started 3 years ago, we didn't have those roles. They didn't exist. But we've been able to show the value that employer brand by building out case studies, sharing our story internally. You have to be an advocate for your department and team as much as possible. And because of those amazing case studies that we've been able to show with little to no, you just have to have the right focus, and you can have a lot of success at any company or organization.
Okay. Two things I wanted to focus on. You've kind of touched on them both, but two things that I think are important, and I want to know what your opinion is. The first is, I mentioned earlier about the concept of transparency, and I like the way some organizations, for example, are publicly sharing with potential candidates. This is the success framework within our organization. This is how you get ahead if you come and join Monzo Bank, for example. Now, one really simple aspect to that, and this actually touches on Sherry's point about how do you do things on a limited budget. I believe the brand of the hiring manager is really, really important. And I think the organizations should be amplifying the brand of both the people you would be working for and the people you'd be working alongside. Is that something that you would agree with at SAP? And is that something that's become more prominent in what you're doing?
100%. I go back to mention when you were asking about what employer branding does, we'd spend a lot of time listening. And one of the ways that we listen is we look at organic search results. And some of the top 10 search results is, what is it really like to work at the company? What is my manager like? What's my team like? All of those questions are so important. And there's a famous quote of sunshine is the best disinfectant. And the importance of transparency is so needed to show. So we are partnering with our facilities teams to all of our, 140 offices around the world to get imagery of the offices. And we do a lot of video job descriptions, mostly in the APJ market, but we're expanding more in other parts of the world. And where the manager is explaining the role. And that goes a long way of making, showing transparency and empowering our employees. We also, utilize tools such as social job sharing to share roles, but in employee engagement, social tools such as Get Social to share more and more employee stories about what makes our company unique and special.
Yeah, no, that's terrific. I think I'm glad that you're doing those things. And I think we're now at a point where individual candidates are choosing to work for other specific people as much as they are choosing to work for that particular organization itself.
The number one reason someone leaves is because of their manager.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that. Yeah.
Conversely, however, I think it hasn't been the case. The number one reason somebody would joins is because of the person they're going to work for. But I believe that is becoming more and more important to candidates.
Yes.
Okay. The other one is I wanted to go back to the learning and development. Your company is all about enabling people to seize the moment, be the best that you can be, do things that are wonderful. I think that your company is broadcasting that from the point that people are joining, a bit more so than it is from the point that somebody decides that they are interested in being a candidate, or they're interested in what it might be like to work at your company. Now, I'm not saying your company specifically, but where I'm going to with this point is, I believe employers need to be communicating much, much more. When you join this organization, this is how this specific job will help you get ahead in your career. Because I think that people are looking at, what's that job going to do for me? Again, as much as what is SAP going to do for me on my resume? The whole concept around you will be better and you will learn this if you come and work for our organization, is that something that your organization is doing more of in terms of attracting talent?
Well, so I think that learning, your curiosity, innovation is a core focus, a core initiative of our company. Yes, no question. And think about it. We have, over 400,000 customers all around the world. And we, I think it's, we power 77% of the world's transactions. So, 80% of the world's food companies. So our software touches a lot of different aspects. And the fact that SAP software, you can pretty much go to many, many different organizations and learn that. So that is no question. I think what's answering your question is that there is no clear path, and there isn't a corporate ladder anymore in today's society, in today's world, and that there's many different ways to get there. I think that as a manager, you need to clearly articulate that steps for your individual employee, but there isn't that cookie cutter answer. So what we try to do is provide the right tools, the right resources for managers to be able to help guide their direct reports on what success means to them. Because success means so many different things to so many different people. And I think that that's a really important element. And does that answer your question? Is that what I want to make sure I get on it.
It does. It does. Okay. It was a very unwieldy question, to be honest. And
sure.
I think what my question really was I believe that organizations will attract more people if they are constantly focused on helping them to learn skills, learn insights, learn more things, even before they've joined that organization. Leading with value, giving people things that are useful and relevant for them is going to make them interested even before they've joined.
Got it. So it's like fulfilling the need for lifelong learning and further education, right? Yeah. So I think we have Open SAP platform. It's a free, massive open online courses in the cloud. We have SAP Learning Hub, which is a wide range of SAP courses that are open to anybody. You don't have to be an employee at our company. So we do have a lot of education systems that are able to help kind of fit the digital workforce, right? That's out there. So it's basically using technology to enable and support collaboration, interdisciplinary, rather than siloed thinking. It's also ensuring appropriate qualifications, different STEM subjects. So we do try to enrich people to ensure that they're not left behind, if that's what I think you're talking about.
It is, absolutely. And I'm sadly, it's 2 minutes past the hour and we've gone on now. I could talk to you about these things for at least another hour because I'm constantly impressed with SAP and what it must be like to work at the organization. And I think that the things that you're doing are terrific. I always enjoy talking to you. I've not talked to a number of your colleagues as well. I always enjoy talking to them. And so, Robin, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you. It's been fun.
I agree with Pramod, who said we need another hour of this.
Sorry if I went on.
maybe we should reconvene in around 6 months. Robin, thanks very much for joining, and that's been absolutely terrific.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks everybody who joined. Bye.